Okay, today's October 3. It's Thursday, 9:26 in the morning. Very unusual weather here in Israel today. 72 degrees, high of 86. And I have the little dogs are staying outside this morning so they can get a lot of fresh air. When the weather's good, I keep them out 6-8 hours a day. They like it. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? Hours ago, there was an Israeli attack on the Russian airbase in Latakia, Syria. Latakia is really like on the Mediterranean. Russia also has a Navy base there, which is their only base in the Mediterranean, and it's an extremely high value to Russia in the event of a big war, which is rather obvious. I don't think we need to explain that. Mediterranean only base, okay. NATO war, Russia, okay. A few miles inland, not much. What's a few miles? Maybe 5 miles, 4 or 5 miles, something like that. There's a Russian air base, and they would keep the maximum amount of planes I ever heard they had there was 25 when they were helping Assad. And now they moved most of them out of the air base to fight in Ukraine. But I would think they probably have maybe a half a dozen over there or something like that. Not much, okay? The air base also is a real facility, like it's got a medical facility, barracks, storage for uniforms, boots, bullets, whatever, right? They have warehouses there, okay? Iran, some hours or maybe at most a day before the attack, brought a plane in with weapons, and these weapons are being distributed to Hezbollah in Syria, Lebanon, because northwest Syria touches Lebanon. So we went and attacked it last night. On my Telegram, I have several videos of the explosions. For a long time, there were many secondary explosions from the attack on this warehouse or ammo depot or weapons storage facility, pick your title. And it was huge. Then it was on the Russian base. Now, we didn't attack their control tower or their planes or anything like that, okay? So it was a controlled attack, maybe you might say, something like that, right? All right. Now, the implications of this are massive. Now, some of you that have been with me a while, I've told you, going back probably at least 2 years, that when the time comes, Israel will attack the Russian bases in Syria. The Navy base will be attacked. Maybe not today, but it's going to be attacked. Okay? The air base got attacked. We didn't destroy the planes. But, in reality, there may not have been any planes there. Seriously, I don't know if they have any planes at all there. I haven't heard of them flying any aircraft around. And because of all the tensions, there's got to be a 50% chance, if not higher, that Russia removed their aircraft out of that base. So it would probably be just staffed with a skeleton crew. A bunch of guys to keep base security in the event of the anti-Bashar Assad forces decided to take out the base or something like that. So they might have, 50 guys or 100 guys there or something like that, right? Now, I'm not saying they don't have any planes there, but I think with all the tensions, they have probably none or next to none. Okay? So it was a very active base before Ukraine got too hot to handle for Russia. All right. So I want you to know that the implications for this are nothing short of massive. In addition, the verbiage coming out from the Americans across the board, all of them talking, the Jake Sullivans, the Blinkens, the Bidens, the Austins, all of them, are that there will be a joint attack on Iran with Israel and America. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to analyze how these, well, I'm going to say these attacks because it's going to be these attacks in the plural, but this particular attack, I'm going to tell you what I believe is, and I'm going to give you my logic, and I think you'll all agree with me. Beyond the shadow of the doubt, you'll agree with me what the target of it is going to be. Okay? And then we're going to talk about Lebanon, and Israel is making progress with the ground invasion in Lebanon. We're still fighting in Gaza. The Houthis sent, I'm hearing 2 drones and I'm hearing 4 drones. Take your pick. Towards Israel, I think, targeting Tel Aviv. Every one of them was taken down and did no harm. Okay? And I'm going to put the whole thing together for you and tell you where we're headed. And it's going to be very, very quick. We're not talking weeks here. We're talking hours or days, okay? In my opinion. And where that's going to take us and so forth. So, bottom line is, this is it. This is Jeremiah 49, Elam getting hit. Elam is Iran, Iraq, and Syria. And that's Elam, E-L-A-M, which is in the prophecy. There was no Iran at the time. Elam was what it was called. These countries change their geographical profile over time, okay? So we're going to cover that. And we're going to cover, this is a sequence of events that's starting. It's not going to be one event. And I'm going to really make you understand that. Not force it or cram it down your throat. I'm going to give you the logic. Believe me, you don't have to go to a war college to understand what's going on the way I'm going to explain it, okay? And I think the Biden administration is now starting to listen to their majors and the colonels in the Pentagon, which are not the Satan bots. The Satan bots are the generals. I can't imagine you becoming a general unless you're a Satan bot. So they use the majors. These are just bureaucrats, stuffed shirt generals. They use the majors and the colonels to actually do the work. Okay, these are the smart people. All right. And we're going to get into it. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to go through a list of things. It's about this long, one line, maybe 8 or 10 point type, something like that, of what the mainstream media is not telling you about what's really going on in a way that you will understand it without having to get a degree in political science or go to a war college at a military base. Okay? All right. So I'm Moshe. I live in Israel. I'm a Levite. I'm also a Cohen, descendant of Aaron. They call it a priest in the King James. And I've lived here for many years. I'm going to give you what I believe are a lot of insights that I hope you enjoy and benefit from. Now, you got to understand that this is to the person who doesn't believe in the Bible and the Lord and Yeshua is very, very bad news. To the believers, I say this: relax, prophecies being fulfilled. No harm shall come near your dwelling. That's a scripture. I believe it's Proverbs. It could be Psalms. Okay? Relax. Okay? Relax. Your redemption draweth nigh. Lift up your head. Lift. And look for what? For the appearing of the Son and the Son of Man in the clouds. I'm going to touch on prophecy today. And what I'm going to do now is jump into the live stream. and make sure that we have sound and picture. By the way, this attack on the Latakia base in Syria by Israel is 101% confirmed. There's no variance or doubt about this, okay? I believe this I could say that I can't give you with 100% certainty, but I do believe that it was done by Israeli aircraft firing missiles at the base. Okay, you don't need colossal bombs to trigger the secondary explosions going off. Okay, so guys, bear with me. And I'll go through this with you. Texas, I know where that is. Russia, I know where that is too. Okay, how old am I? Why do you even ask that? You know, if you don't like, well, what's the difference? You know, I don't understand the question. All right, I'm going to put a couple of quick posts up there, and I mean quick, and then we'll get going, okay? It's a lot to cover today. Again, I tell you, this is it, all right? This is it. This is the start of the it. What they call World War III. That's not in the Bible, but you get the idea. All right. I don't like just putting a dead screen up there and having people stare at a dead screen while I get it set up. So I do it this way, and it gives people a chance to come in. Okay, one more quick post. I'm going to put my email up there if anybody wants to mail in comments, scriptures, prayer requests, toss requests, and you don't want to put it in the chat, which you're free to do. You want more privacy, you can just email it in. I do check email and the chat periodically during the chat. Okay, I'm done there. Let me just pin this up and we'll kick it into gear. Now, I am going to try to cover questions during the chat, not things like how old I am or why I wear sunglasses. I wear sunglasses because they're polarized and I spend a lot of time in front of the screen and it makes it very easy on my eyes, okay? Polarized blocks up to 400 nanometer blue light, which is what they say you should avoid. Whether or not they know what they're talking about is another question, isn't it? Okay, so being a Bible-believing site, Old and New Testament, I'm going to do some praise and we'll move forward. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. So the implications of the attack on the Russian base is not hard to understand. Putin's going to go ballistic, okay? Putin is not as insane as the other leaders. Putin's, I'd say he's not, wrapped so tightly, but he's not insane like Iran and Hezbollah and the Houthis and all of them, you know. He is going to be nuts over this. What he did was you see, the Iranians were trying to feed more weapons into Hezbollah in Lebanon to kill us. Plain and simple. Why were they killing us? Because we retaliated against Hamas from the October 7th invasion. And now I'm going to start telling you the things that you don't get in the regular media. Hamas said they would continue October 7th type attacks where they burned babies alive. They tied women and the children together and burned them. They burned people in their houses. They had thermite or incendiary grenades that would start fires in houses. They would throw them through the window if the people had a secure house, or if they were in the bomb shelter. You can't really break in. If you take an axe or a crowbar, you're not going to get in. So they would burn the house up, and the heat and the smoke would kill them in the bomb shelter. The flames probably wouldn't get in. There's nothing to burn in a bomb shelter. It's heavy concrete with rebar and concrete ceiling, floor, walls, and heavy steel door. What are you going to burn? All right. And they took over 100 people hostage. They're still keeping them. They're raping the women daily. And they're raping the men, and they're using them as slaves to clean the house and cook. And I go on and on and on. Many of them they just killed in cold blood. And they said they're going to come do it again and again. So we need to wipe them out. That's obvious. Or they'll wipe us out. If we just want to go to concentration camps and go into a room where they tell us that we're going to get a shower and they lock the door and gas us, then there's no problem. Just go let them kill us. But obviously that's not on the table. So they've been neutralized militarily to at least 85-90%. They can't get any missile launchers off to speak of anymore. We've stopped them from getting missiles which were coming through Egypt. They built 400 miles of tunnels. This is what you probably don't hear. 400 miles of tunnels. The tunnels had walls about this thick, ceilings the same, and floors, which were probably an inch or something, out of concrete. And they had steel support girders, how many feet apart? Maybe, every 25, 30 feet or 50 feet or something. I don't know. It probably varied depending on the depth of the tunnel. And to build hundreds of miles of these, in my estimation, as just somebody without a lot of expertise in this, I would say you would need to have had probably 10,000 truckloads of concrete steel girders. And also they had missile manufacturing equipment and missiles and weapons. I would just to take a whack at it, 10,000 truckloads. Now these tunnels were able to, the big ones from Egypt, where there were several, were able to take tractor trailers, 40-footers. Yeah. Now, only an insane person would believe that 1,000, let's say I was wrong, it was 4,000 trucks. Or it could have been 19,000 trucks. Egypt, 101% knew what was going on and let it happen. Their role in this attempt at destroying Israel was to allow the weapons smuggling to go into Gaza. Now, I have no information that makes me think they provided the weapons, but I would not take that off the table either. So Egypt is no friend of Israel, and Netanyahu has been using Egypt to negotiate with Gaza. Do you know how stupid that is? It's pretty stupid. Really stupid. Qatar. Netanyahu also used Qatar, or Qatar, whatever you want to call it, next to Bahrain, to negotiate with Gaza, Hamas in Gaza. They just hosted in, wait a minute. Yeah, the Iranian new president came to Qatar, I believe, or the Qatari leader went to Iran. So they're in bed with Iran. They're our enemies. They were housing in five-star hotels the heads of Hamas during the war. And Netanyahu was dumb enough to use them to negotiate with Hamas. So, did anything ever arrive from these negotiations? No. They want us to just withdraw from Gaza militarily, completely, right? Without giving us the hostages back. They won't give us the names of the hostages that are alive. We keep finding more and more bones of the hostages and bodies. We identify them with DNA. They won't give us back the hostages until we're gone and then some. They want international guarantees that we won't go back in without any statement like if we attack Israel again, it breaks the contract and Israel's free to go back in. They don't want to put anything like that in there. So they're saying they want international guarantees that they could attack Israel from Gaza again and we can't invade them. Okay? Let's keep going. They won't tell us how many hostages they have. So if we withdraw, they can give us literally 5 hostages and say that's all we could find because they put them in apartments of the population of Gaza. Okay? And if they do give us hostages back, they want to trade them for terrorist prisoners in Israel that tried to kill or even killed Israelis, men, women, and children. So if they have 50 hostages, they're going to want enough of an exchange so 5,000 terrorist prisoners are freed from our prisons before they give us the hostages. And we don't know how many hostages they got or what condition they're in. They won't let the Red Cross talk to them or examine them. We don't know anything. Okay? And they don't want us making sure more weapons don't get smuggled in from Egypt. So the statement to Israel is basically, hey, listen, Jews, you won this round. Now get the heck out of Gaza. Leave us alone. And we're going to build up again and kill you the next time. So if you were Israel, would you do that? Only if you wanted to commit suicide or you were dumb would you do it. So the day after the attack, and we started attacking back, Hezbollah and Lebanon started attacking us, telling us basically, leave Gaza alone. So they tried to kill you, and they killed a few thousand of you. You're a bunch of Jews. Suck it up. You're supposed to get killed. Stop attacking Gaza. Then the Houthis went and attacked the Red Sea. Now, this is very important. They have hit on multiple occasions American warships. I've seen videos of it, okay? Including an aircraft carrier that had to go to dock in Saudi Arabia at the port of Jeddah and get repairs before it could leave. If anybody knows where the USS Truman aircraft carrier strike group is, I'd like to know. They left Monday last week, and they should be in theater here by now, but the Americans are not revealing where they are. I have no idea. I don't think it would take that much time to get here. Maybe they told it to lay back for a while because of the attacks with missiles. But I'm going to tell you in a few moments what Iran threatened to do if we attack them. And you're going to get shocked, okay? Because they're going to, I'll tell you right now. Iran said if Israel or America attacks them, they're going to launch missiles on the oil-producing countries of the Middle East at their refineries and their ports and piers where they offload the oil and natural gas. I need to explain this to you probably. A tanker ship pulls up to the port, the pier, and it docks, right? Okay. At the pier, they got big, I don't know what you want to call them, bins or storage tanks where they keep oil, right? And then they have a few of these big hoses, you know, that, I don't know, they're 8, 9 inches, I guess. and they run the hose from the tank containing the oil into the ship. They probably run multiple hoses, two, three, I don't know how many. And it takes hours, and they, pump the oil from the storage tanks, which are rather large, into the ship. Then the ship is full. They say adios, and they pull out and they go to where they're going to take the oil. Not so hard to understand. They do a similar thing with natural gas, but I think it's a little bit different procedure. So in the past, the Houthis in Yemen have fired missiles at the Aramco oil facility in Saudi Arabia, refinery, which is the largest that Saudi Arabia has. And I think Saudi Arabia is the largest oil producer or seller or whatever you want to call it in the Middle East. And they hit it on two separate occasions with missiles. But the first time it was a single missile, it caused damage. It took the Saudis a few days to shore it up. The next time it was two missiles, it took a few more days extra for them to shore it up. But what if they hit them with 18 missiles? Well, it takes a year. What will happen to the oil prices? Well, I think you're looking at someplace between $150 and $200 a barrel. Don't you? It would triple probably. But they're not going to just hit Saudi. Oh no, they named countries. They want to hit the UAE. They'll hit Saudi. They'll more than likely hit Jordan. I don't know about Kuwait. Kuwait is kind of trying to walk the plank in neutral land. They're trying to be friends with Iran, yet the White House has 5,000 American soldiers there protecting Kuwait. What they're going to do against barrages of missiles and drones, this remains to be seen. I don't know. What are they going to shoot at them? What are they going to do? They also have a similar amount of soldiers in the UAE. I think it's 2,500 there. Jordan, I don't know, it's big. Jordan could have 10, 12, 15,000 because they got a lot of American bases in Jordan and they got a lot of bases in Saudi Arabia. So let me read the names of the countries that they said. It'll take a second. I'll pull it out of my Telegram. I put it up a little while ago. I'll scroll through and get it for you. They named the UAE, they named Saudi Arabia, I believe Jordan. Now they might hit Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar. I'm not sure yet, but we'll get the list. France called for their citizens to leave Iran. Russia told their citizens to leave, not go there anymore right now. Well, I'm not going to find it. I'm not sure if Kuwait's in on it, but they probably would get them. So, you can count on the UAE, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, probably Oman, and probably Kuwait and Bahrain getting attacked. Their oil refineries, their ports, and their piers. They're within striking range of Iranian missiles without a single shadow of a doubt. and Iran could fire 100 missiles at each of them every day. These, okay, and they could also send drones. Iran could hit a lot of these facilities in the Persian Gulf from they have missile launching ships that have a lot of missiles. They're old container ships, tanker ships, and they put tons of missiles below the deck where they store them, and they have lots of launchers on the deck, and they could just launch. Okay? Of course, these ships could be blown out of the water as well. All right? So this is what Iran threatened to do if Israel attacks them. All right? This was maybe within the last 12 hours, something like that. 8 hours. Is it a very real threat? Well, you got to remember, Iran itself will not do the launches exclusively. It will have to do a lot of them, but it will use Iraq, Syria, and Yemen to do them also. And this will be a nightmare par excellence for everybody in the world to try to overcome. Let me check the live stream. I'm going to cover Bible later. Okay. Biden recently said that he was not interested in Israel attacking the Iranian nuclear facilities. Now, we need to analyze this so you understand. Most of the people that talk, like API and the Reuters and all them, they say that the facilities underground are 80, 90, or maybe some say 100 meters. So let's round it off at about 300 feet down. They build them at a massive amount with massive amounts of reinforced concrete, heavy concrete with loads of rebar. Now, that's down way far. America has 25,000 and 30,000 pound bunker busters, and they even burrow down in the earth before they ignite. But would they actually trash the underground facilities? Unanimously, the experts say no, it's too deep. Okay? Now, other people say some of these things are a lot deeper than 300 feet. I've even heard 900 feet down. So we don't know, but I don't think they would work, and I think that's why Biden said no, because Netanyahu wanted to get bunker busters or America do it. I don't know, but the reason he's declining is really they don't have the capability to do it. Okay? And it's not worth that much to them. Now, listen to me. I'm going to teach you war. Okay? If there was a hit on the nuclear facilities, what would Iran do? Let's say there was a successful hit. Let's say they took 15 or 20 of these 30,000 pound bombs and they put 3 on each location or 2, and they made them unusable or destroyed them. What would Iran do? Or if they didn't make them unusable, they just caused damage or whatever, what would Iran do? It would eventually attack Israel, but what it would do fairly immediately is attack the other countries that don't like them. Enemies of Iran. Now, take this word enemies and file it away for a while, but keep it out on the front burner. the enemies of Iran are the countries that don't follow the Shiite philosophy, and they run the country calling themselves Emir, King, Sovereign Leader, whatever, okay? Oman has a royal family, Saudis have a royal family, Bahrain has a royal family, Kuwait has a royal family, Jordan has a royal family. They say that this is wrong with Islam because the wealth is not spread amongst the people, the wealth from the land. It's hoarded by the royalty or the dictators that buy gold-plated Rolls Royces and 100,000 square foot houses, and they use 737s for personal jets, and they buy yachts that are the size of small ocean liners, okay, for their family. So you get on a boat that holds, let's say 900 crew and 1,500 passengers, an older cruise ship, or maybe let's get real, 600 crew with 900 passengers, okay, and the royal family gets on that with 10 or 15 people, and they got 125 crew to take care of them on a boat. The same, that's how they like to live, okay, while the people live like garbage in small apartments and things like that. All right, so they are opposed to the Sunnis. The Sunnis don't really believe that the Dome of the Rock is of remarkable importance. Okay? They don't believe that their Muhammad ascended from there, because the dates of when that was built and the dates of when they lyingly say that this, what's his name, Muhammad ascended to heaven, are not consistent. But anyway, they don't get along, they fight, okay? The Shiite states basically would be Turkey, Lebanon, although Lebanon has a lot of Catholic and Christians and Buddhists and Hindus, Gaza, Yemen, and Syria and Iraq. These are the bad actors, okay? That's it. That's the whole extent of them, okay? And they're all funded by Iran, who has a lot of oil and natural gas and has successfully managed to break the sanctions. Now, you have to listen to what I'm going to say now. The mainstream media doesn't talk about this. The people on YouTube that are sitting there saying they're Christians and giving you the news and stuff and got hundreds of thousands of followers, I'm not telling you this, okay? But when I tell it to you today, right now, and I explain it to you, you're going to understand the reality of this, okay? The BRICS is having a meeting in Russia, October 22nd to the 24th. So 3 weeks, something like that from today, right? At this meeting, they are going to unveil and, according to them, release or open up or start with what they're referring to as BRICS Pay. It's a blockchain digital currency type thing, like Bitcoin, okay? It's run by Russia and China predominantly. They are going to secure it or back it with a basket of commodities. Now, if you're a country in BRICS and you want to be issued 5 billion units of whatever they call the thing, the BRIC dollar, let's say, right? You have to pledge. You don't have to you don't have to give the physical goods to Russia and China, but you have to pledge that you have set aside in your country a basket of currencies that equals the amount that you're getting issued BRICS money for. And they're going to announce what they're going to allow. Definitely gold, also oil and natural gas, and wheat, and probably rice and cattle and whatever they come up with. Now, this currency is immune from American and NATO sanctions. They have no ability to invoke or, push or enforce sanctions on this money transfer system. No ability. Okay? 159 countries said they want to use this system. Not necessarily join BRICS, but use the system. Okay? They're also going to open it up to retailers, but I think that'll come down the road. So if you have a chain of stores and you're not in Europe or America, they might let you use BRICS too. Probably just for member, in the countries that are members of BRICS. So this is dangerous to America, but let me tell you where the real danger is. There's 3 countries in BRICS that are, well, there's 2 that are worth talking about, Iran and Russia. They are massive sellers of natural gas and oil. Massive. And they are under heavy sanctions. Okay? Biden's sanctions on China, Russia, Iran have an effect, but they're nowhere near as effective as they need to be. They bypass them all the time. So, Iran will, in 3 weeks, be sanction-free, be able to sell all the oil and natural gas they want to these other countries. And in return, they were able to buy things from these other countries using that BRICS currency they receive for selling oil and natural gas. So they could buy autos, motorcycles, housing equipment to build houses, food, medical, whatever, weapons. And America has no control. But what this will do, it will reduce the demand for the US dollar. It'll go down like an elevator. And I'm not talking 3% or 8%. You better be thinking, in the beginning, 25, 35% reduction in the value of the dollar or more. The UAE is in BRICS too. So you got to add them into it. It's a huge amount of money. And that will cripple the American economy. Now, Russia and Iran love this. The UAE, I think, is just trying to walk a neutral beat. India and China are huge countries in BRICS, and they buy massive amounts of energy, natural gas, and oil. And they will trade using the BRICS currency. So the United States has always insisted that the oil be traded in US dollars. And they've defeated this, and they will destroy the economies of America and Russia. What do I mean? Europe pays $8-9 a gallon for gas, as does Israel. But Israel puts a $3 tax on every gallon, so it's not fair. But if you got to pay $8-9 a gallon in the United States or more, because if Iran starts attacking the other oil refineries, you'll be paying $12, $15, $18 a gallon. People won't be able to go to work. Everything moves by truck. The price of everything will go up. Everything. It might not go up that much because it may only go up 7, 8, 9% or something, like eggs, bread, shirts, toilet paper. But when everything goes up that much, it's crippling. Home heating oil will soar. Airplane, taking a plane from New York to Miami, you'd probably go up from, I don't know what it is now, $300 round trip, $400, it'd probably double and triple. The stuff they move on ships burns fuel. A big cruise ship or a big boat burns a gallon every 5 feet. And that'll go up. They'll break the economy. Yet China will be buying sweetheart-priced oil and natural gas from Iran and Russia, as will India. And that will make them way more competitive in the global marketplace. And they're basically going to destroy the European Union and America, and probably much of South and Central America and other countries in Asia and Africa as well. But they don't care. Most of these countries will join BRICS. So they're going to basically isolate North America and Europe. And that's what this is about. The United States has to rapidly stop Russia and Iran, because they're the most dangerous element here. China and India are not that dangerous because they buy the oil and gas, they don't sell it. It's Iran and Russia they're worried about. The UAE could be persuaded to cooperate, as the same for Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and all them. They don't want this with Iran. They want to play ball with America. So that's why America is pushing so hard, using Ukraine as a proxy to destroy Russia by dumping weapons in. And they're doing the same with Israel. They're using Israel to destroy the Iranian proxies and dumping weapons into Israel and controlling Israel like they do Ukraine. I think the dog is barking out there. I better go check on him. So this will be a very fast, but I don't know what the deal is. I better look. He's old. I'll be right back. Oh, he's okay. Got himself. He climbed up someplace and he couldn't climb down. Or he didn't want to. I don't know. So I took him in. All right. So what you're seeing here is a war getting ready to explode. Okay? They don't want Iran running the Middle East. If they leave Iran alone, Iran will pull Jordan, Kuwait, UAE, Oman, Saudi Arabia into BRICS, and they will trade oil, not using the US dollar, not paying attention to sanctions, and so forth. The other implication of BRICS is you better believe that they're going to let the drug cartels use it too. They're friends with the drug cartels, these people. Okay? And that's what America's doing. So let me put it in perspective. America's fighting for its economic existence. All right? That's the reality of this. If this goes down October 22nd, could you only imagine what Trump's going to get on the TV and say? He'll wreck Biden and Kamala. So, they're well on their way of messing up Russia using Ukraine. A double whammy against Iran is that Iran has supplied thousands of drones to Russia and missiles. And this means that Russia can keep fighting in Ukraine and using missiles and drones. And NATO countries have to dump billions more dollars in every month to Ukraine in weapons. Okay? They're tired of it. And they're running down their weapon reserves. So the more tolerance they have towards Iran, the worse the Ukraine-Russia situation gets for NATO. Now, let's not be stupid. Russia wakes up one morning and says, oh, I want to take Ukraine back. It's ours. And starts a war. The closest parallel to that is China and Taiwan. Remember, China took Hong Kong back a couple of years ago, right? Hong Kong people weren't happy about it, but they went back. And they're under China now. Their freedom is gone. It's gone. Okay? They don't have freedom. And everybody let it go down. And China says, hey, that worked. Let's go do Taiwan. Well, that's not going over too well. And then North Korea says, well, let's unify with South Korea, under North Korea, of course. And he starts making waves there. Now, if America loses Taiwan, life goes on. If America loses South Korea and Taiwan, that's not good anymore. If Russia loses South Korea and Taiwan, Russia will lose the Philippines and Japan and Guam, and down the road eventually Australia and New Zealand, but that'll happen much later, but that's not going to get that far. So America's worried about that, but they have a lot of threats that they got to deal with at the same time, and they can only deal with so many at one time, right? So they don't want to push things in the Asia-Pacific theater. China and Russia are trying to do provocations, but not attacks. China is extremely cautious, very scared of things, and they know they got to make a move because America's trying to control them or crush them. And their real estate has bottomed out. They got a lot of economic problems as a result of sanctions. They're not that worried about a war with Taiwan and South Korea and Japan because that's not on China's soil. Russia had the same thought with Ukraine. The problem is Ukraine was next door to Russia, and the fighting is very much on Russian soil. They've occupied something like 130 square kilometers of Russian land now, which will expand. So the nations in NATO that are dumping billions of dollars monthly into Ukraine have a light at the end of the tunnel. And the light at the end of the tunnel is that their plan is to bust Russia up into several pieces. So these people, these countries in NATO that have been funding Russia are probably being promised a piece of the Russian breakup. And they're going to try to get their hands on some natural gas and oil. And that'll be a dividend that'll pay them back as they see it in time, many generations down the road. And Russia loses. But Russia's a dangerous animal. It hit Ukraine. It's threatening Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Romania, Georgia, Poland. I mean, it's a real threat. So they want to put an end to Russia. They want to get the energy for themselves. They don't want to see BRICS come to pass because they're not going to be in BRICS. So that's why you're at wartime now, for these reasons. Now, we'll talk about attacking Iran. Nuclear facilities we covered. If, let's say, they blew up all the nuclear facilities in Iran, so what? Iran still has tons of missiles they'll be launching at everybody and wreck the oil and gas industry in the Middle East for at least a year, maybe 2 years. Be economic collapse. It may be more than 2 years. It may be a long, long time. So, what do? To get Iran, the first step is to get rid of Iran's proxies, and that's well underway. October 7th was allowed to happen. I'm not going to dwell on that. And then Hezbollah joined in. And Biden was screaming, use restraint in Gaza, humanitarian aid, and all this stuff, right? Dragging the war out because he wanted to buy time. And then Hezbollah was attacking Israel for many months, and they didn't want Israel going in. Now that Gaza is turned off, they can't really do anything to us. The idea is to get Hezbollah in the same position as quickly as possible. We're not there yet. Yesterday they got off 200 and something missiles. But they weren't going deep into Israel, but it's still very bad. So our troops are on the ground and they're making progress. They're going further and further in. They're going to have to clean Hezbollah out all the way up to Tripoli or Turkey. They're not going to be able to go just to Litani River. That's silly. Look, we've seen Hezbollah missiles go 50, 60, well, maybe not that far, maybe 40 miles into Israel, something like that, right? They could probably go a little further. So maybe 50. So when you start, I don't know, maybe not even, but anyway, they go way more than 17 miles. That's the distance of the Litani River. So if they push Hezbollah back, according to the UN mandate, 17 miles, it doesn't help Israel. The people can't move home that live near the border of Lebanon because they have a lot of missiles that can go at least twice as far as 17 miles. So the plan is to have Israel follow the UN mandate, but also bust out Hezbollah severely so they can't regroup. And then use the 17 miles as a buffer zone, which will stop the majority of the Hezbollah missiles, which are Katyusha types that go up to 12 miles and they're not aimable really, or even they're just terrorist weapons, okay? So that's what the plan is. Now, Hezbollah has been hiding missiles in houses, underground facilities, above ground, and we probably got half of their long-range missiles. It's got a ways to go. But when we invaded, Iran said that's enough, and they launched at us. Now, there's some deceiver out there saying that the missile launch there's more than one, wasn't real. My wife was outside and saw one of the missiles, and then she saw the Iron Dome come and take it down. Many people have seen them. Okay? It's real. They did hit at least one Israeli airbase, Natim, I think it's called. We did have some takedowns, but what Iran was doing with these bases is they were swarm attacking the base with a lot of missiles. The missiles hit open fields. They did hit some buildings on the base, on one base anyway. They didn't have any deaths or casualties. The people were evacuated or took shelter in a bunker. And no important building was hit, no control tower was hit, no aircraft were hit. It's very simple with the aircraft. They know the attack's going to be a few minutes, so they have the planes take off and fly circles someplace, and when the attack's over, come back. That's not hard to do. And there was no damage to aircraft. And I didn't hear that they hit the runway, but even if they did, it takes a few hours to patch a runway. So it was real. There were missiles falling into the sea, but that happens when you try to hit targets in Tel Aviv that are near the ocean. Tel Aviv's on the water itself, so that doesn't surprise me. It was real. I was sitting outside during the attacks and I listened to the Iron Domes and the takedowns and stuff like that. It was real. 190 missiles and not one Israeli got killed. And so if you think that's not God working, I don't know what would convince you. The one guy that got killed was a Palestinian Muslim that happened to be in Jericho. And he got hit with the fuselage of an Iranian missile that got blown up by the Iron Dome and fell right down on him and killed him. So imagine what you would think if Israel launched 190 missiles into Iran on all different kinds of targets, right? Nobody got killed, no major property damage destroyed, and the one person that got killed by your 190 missiles was an Israeli Jew living in Iran. You would think that was pretty weird, right? Okay. Iran and their proxy states are basically criminally insane psychotics, okay? And you can't reason with them. They don't make sense. They don't walk. They walk to the beat of a different drum. Okay? They're crazy. Really, they're crazy. Hezbollah in particular was cursing Iran because they did nothing. And Israel's wiping them out strategically and systematically. So Iran came up with this attack. Now, Iran was going to lose Hezbollah and maybe Hamas as well if they didn't attack Israel. Maybe the Houthis too. Let's not forget the other day a helicopter carrying the military head or one of the top 2 or 3 leaders in the military of the Houthis in Yemen was going to Tehran and his helicopter crashed. So let's take a look at that. That's how the president of Iran got killed by us, was a helicopter crash. But moving along. Iran felt desperate, so they did the attack. Netanyahu told Iran that if they did an attack, they would pay a bad price. Iran did the attack anyway because the price they were going to pay was pretty bad if they didn't. So hitting the nuclear facilities is just going to cause an unleashing of missiles. So the most, now this is where you should be able to understand it. The most intelligent attack on Iran would be to take out their missile launching sites, right? Because then Iran can't retaliate anymore. And when you weaken their missile launching capability, you could always come in later and take out their nuclear facilities, their ports and their piers, their oil and gas. But maybe you don't have to. Maybe you could just get rid of the government and the revolutionaries in Iran could take it over. The son of the Shah could come back and run the country, have dinner at the White House once a year, and everything's copacetic. He's well controlled. So you put the destroying the oil and the gas maybe on the back burner. If we go in and we destroy the oil and the gas or the nuclear facilities, or both, they're still going to attack us. They don't have an aircraft worth a hoot nor a navy. So the only thing that makes sense is to attack anything and everything pertaining to missiles. Missiles, missile launchers, missile storage facilities, drones too. Everything pertaining to drones. The factories where they're made, where they're stored, where they're kept, where they're in readiness. You got to get them all. Or you're going to pay a bad price. Now, you're going to pay a bad price during the attack, because they're going to launch while the attack is coming on their heads. They're in a state of readiness. All right, I'm going to put the air conditioning on for him. He's hot. It's an old dog. You don't really need the air conditioner, but I'll give him a few minutes to cool the room off for him. Oh, controls over here. So, the attack is going to definitely be on their military capabilities, specifically pertaining to missiles and drones. But since their missile launchers are spread out so many, the attack's going to have to be a massive amount of planes and missiles coming off of American boats. Now, it appears that America is going to be in the fight. Biden said the attack needs to be proportionate. What did Iran do? Mostly attacked 3 military bases and an intelligence headquarters, which I don't think they did any damage to. So that's what's going to happen to them. It doesn't make sense to go after other targets, because you leave their missiles alone and their missile launches, and they're going to create havoc in the Middle East that'll affect most of the world. Let me check the chat here. So that's what's going to be hit, and I don't know how many planes it's going to require. I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking at least 100. Plus hundreds of missiles. It's going to have to be massive. Some of their missile facilities are beneath the earth, and they could open it up and launch from underground. Not that far underground, so it could be destroyed. Let me throw the garbage out. See how many people come in here and hate what I talk about? The Great Reset, you're going to find that it's not a biblical concept or term, but just read Zechariah 12, read Jeremiah 30, verse 11, and there's your reset. Yeah, the trolls. If any of you want to report them, you'd be my guest. I don't mind. I just block them. It's my understanding. I could be wrong, but if you get blocked enough in enough chats, I don't know what the magic number is. They don't let you. YouTube blocks your ability to post in any chat for a period of time, like a month or something. I don't think it's a high threshold either. I think if you probably within a month get blocked out of 3 or 4 places, it's it. Maybe you need to be reported, not blocked. I don't know. But anyway, they're a waste of time. So I do believe that Israel's going to need their help, and now there is a slight chance that America may try to do the whole enchilada with Israel and get the missiles and the drones knocked out, and then also hit the oil and gas and the nuclear facilities. But I think it will come in phases. Okay, the first phase would be disabling their missile launch capability, and they'll launch during that, and then it will expand from there. Okay, it's going to just keep building. And if you think the American bases in the Middle East aren't going to get hit, you're very, very wrong. And that will be the provocation for Biden to really attack Iran and disable it with the help of NATO, because he'll invoke NATO in it. And really disable it would mean their missiles and drone facilities, their bases, their air bases, their Navy bases, their intelligence bases, all their radars. You just and they'll keep launching during this, and then they might and probably will at some point decide to get the oil and gas. They'll tell Iran after they've had hundreds of successful target package strikes. They'll tell Iran, next comes your oil and gas, and Iran, being psychotic, won't care, and then they'll take out the natural gas and oil, the pipelines, the piers, the ports, the storage facilities, the refineries. And that basically deactivates Iran. Will Russia come help? It's unlikely that they'll bother. First of all, they can't risk it. He can't move that much military resources to save Iran. He's got a bunch of resources to help China and Asia Pacific. He could do something. He could send, 8 or 10 warships over here, but what's that going to do? America will tell him to stand down. He'll tell America no. America's not going to stand down, because then BRICS is going to move forward and they're going to be in the toilet. So America will engage him. And that's how Putin will look at it. I don't think he'll do anything. He'll try to send weapons that won't work. That's about all he'll do. What's the time frame on this? As a guess, within 5-6 days. If Israel waits for too much water to go under the bridge, Iran's going to think Israel's afraid to do something, and they'll take another strike at us, because the next strike they'll say, leave Lebanon. Okay? And then if we leave Lebanon, the next strike will be leave the Golan Heights, leave the West Bank, leave East Jerusalem, and then it'll finally be leave Israel. And then that leaves Iran and Russia and China and North Korea and Venezuela and Cuba running the world, basically. And they don't want to do that. Now let me read you the prophecies in Jeremiah 49. So those of you that just came here for intel, I'm now about to give you the best intel you're going to get on the internet, but many of you don't want to hear it. I'm sorry for that. We'll just focus on Iran, Iraq, and Syria. Jeremiah 49:34. The word of Jehovah that came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam. Remember, Elam's a country that was pieces of Iran, pieces of Iraq, pieces of Syria, so it concerns those three countries today. In the beginning, the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, saying. So this prophecy was given during the reign of Zedekiah. Thus saith Jehovah of armies, behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. Now, what is a bow? You pull the bow back, and you take an arrow out of your quiver, you load it in the bow, you pull it back, and you release it. The bow is the missile launcher, and the arrow is the missile. It's simple. It's done in, vernacular that's thousands of years ago. They didn't have missiles like that, right? So there you have it. That is the perfect description of Iran. What is their strength? The chief of their might. What is the chief of their might? Their missiles. It's not their navy, it's not their air force, it's not their infantry, it's their missiles. I will break. Now let's check the word for break, shabar. Let's see how Strong's puts the word break into English. It means, the root of it is to burst. Okay, now that's what happens when you bomb their missile launchers. They burst, right? That's your prophecy. Well, let's keep reading. What else happens to these lovely people? So Jeremiah 49:35. Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might, and upon Elam will I bring the four winds from the four quarters of heaven, and will scatter them towards all those winds, and there shall be no nation, no heathen nation, whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. They're going to get busted up so bad, they're going to leave the country. This is Iraq and Syria and Iran. Iraq and Syria, Iranian-backed militias, which are in the hundreds of thousands, are going to hit the American and British bases and the embassies and consulates in Iraq and Syria. It's not hard to imagine. They've attacked these bases almost 100 times already. But this time they're going to do it big time. Lots of missiles, lots of drones, and they're going to invade the base, and they're going to try to take hostages and rape the women and the men even, And that's what they're going to try to do. I'm not saying they're going to do it, that's what will be in their minds. So, the place is so broken up that there's no place to live there anymore. Is that not what they're trying to do to Israel? Missile attack it so much that the Israelis just have to leave? And then what happens if we had to leave? We would have the Holocaust. We would get picked off in all the other countries that we went to. Let's keep reading. And that's exactly what's happening to them. They're reaping what they sow. It says that I will bring the four winds from the four quarters of the heaven and will scatter them towards those winds, and there shall be no nation whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. They're going to come all over the world. But I will cause, there won't be in Israel, it's a heathen nation is the word. And I will cause Elam to be dismayed. Before their enemies, dismayed before their enemies, and before them that seek their life. So it's enemies plural that go after these characters. Okay? It's not just Israel. So maybe they will hit the oil producing countries in the land, refineries, and they're going to rise up. They got tanks, they got advanced jets, they got bombs, they got missiles. They all get together with, Israel and America, and they have a barbecue on Iran's head. Before their enemies, and before them that seek their life. People are coming there to kill them. And I will bring evil upon them. That's Iran, Iraq, and Syria. Even my fierce anger, saith Jehovah, and I will send the sword after them. So that's where we're at today. And what I think will happen is an attack on Iran, which will probably trigger the proxies. Hezbollah will try to do whatever they can do to us, which is not a whole lot anymore. Iraq and Syria will attack the American bases voraciously in Iraq and Syria, and possibly the American bases and refineries in these other countries. America is going to be made to pay a price by Iran. Iran is under a delusion of grandeur. You must understand me. These people, Hezbollah, the Houthis, the Hamas, the Iran-backed militias in Iraq and Syria and Iran, are literally like the people that are criminally insane kept in a psychiatric hospital because they are not fit to sit for trial. They're out of it. You can't conduct a trial when they're not in their senses. These people are not in their senses. They cannot believe they're going to lose. Iran is losing, and they don't want to come to reality and accept it. And they will go after America hard. And Israel. And that's why it's essential that they need to be shut down. And I don't think Israel has 50 F-35s. We have a total of maybe at most 350 fighter jets. Okay, it's over 300. Maybe 320 is a better figure or something like that. We have refueling tankers. I think we might have as many as 10 refueling planes. I don't think Israel can handle it correctly by itself, which could cause blowback against Israel with missile launches and missile launches against Kuwait, Bahrain, maybe even Qatar, UAE, Oman, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and that's a massive amount of the world's oil. And oil prices will go like a rocket because it's based on people buying future deliveries of the oil. And when they see this, the bidding is going to go crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised to see 120, 150, even 200. It'll break people. They're not going to be able to deal with that kind of price for oil. People won't be able to go to work in America and Europe. They won't be able to take their cars. Public transportation prices will have to get higher. Let me check the live stream. It's really major. And you're on the way to Jeremiah 30, verse 11, which I will explain to you in a moment. Yeah, BRICS plans are going to blow up, I'm pretty sure. What's happening right now? Oh, Psalm 83? Yes. You need to read Psalm 83 with Zechariah 12. They're very much the same thing. I know a little bit about the JWs, not much. I don't spend much time with them. I don't care about them really. Why should I ignore the question? The Jehovah's Witnesses have false doctrine. They break Galatians 5:19-21. Okay. They have aberrant doctrines. I'm not interested in talking about the JWs. I consider it a waste of time. Sorry, you want to talk about the JWs, go get your own platform. Let's go. Let me tell you a few things about Zechariah 12 that a lot of people may not be aware of, okay? And you'll see how it fits for today. I'll open it up for you to apply it to today. It starts off, the burden of the word of Jehovah for Israel, saith Jehovah, which stretches forth the heavens, and layeth the foundations of the earth, and formeth the spirit of man within him. He's announcing who he is, okay? Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. This has never been fulfilled. In the past, it was just one country that attacked, like the Babylonians, and the Romans. It wasn't multiple. Never happened. Judah and Jerusalem is the piece of land we have now. And in that day, you got to remember, this is a day. This is in other places in Scripture that the church doesn't teach. It's called the Day of Vengeance. And I'll show you those. And in that day will I make Jerusalem. There is no J in the Hebrew alphabet, so Jesus' name could not be Jesus. It's Yeshua. And the root of Yeshua is Yeshua, which means salvation. So he means like salvation emanates forth from him. Pretty good, right? And Jehovah can never be God's name. There's no J in Hebrew. It's Jehovah. Okay, so the JWs don't even have that right. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces. The word really means lacerated. You know, from with swords, slash, cut, slice, right? Okay. So all the ones that are going to try to get Jerusalem. Now, this could be after Malachi 3 when the temple is there and Elijah is teaching the Levites how to do the offerings in Malachi 3, which the church never teaches. I'll touch on that too. All that burden themselves with what? With Jerusalem. It doesn't say Judah and Jerusalem. It says, in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be in pieces, with it shall be in pieces. And that means cut to pieces, right? Shall be cut in pieces, cut in pieces. You could say too, instead of whatever, it says cut in pieces. Though all the people of the earth, Haaretz, it could be the land or the earth, gathered together against it. In that day, again, this is a one-day event, kids. In that day, saith Jehovah, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness. The word for horse is sus. It means horse. It means swallow, a bird that flies, a white bird, I think. So it could be planes. I don't know what it's referencing. It could be tanks. And okay, there's no Old Testament word for airplanes and tanks and armored personnel carriers. All right, let's go on. And every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness. That means the soldiers operating this equipment are cuckoo. Well, they're already cuckoo, aren't they? And I will open my eyes upon the house of Judah and will smite every horse of the people with blindness. And the governors of Judah, that's not a good translation, the judges of Judah. God will run Israel again with the judges. Judges are prophets. The two witnesses are prophets. It says it in Revelation 11. Now, where does it say that God's going to run Israel again with the judges? Isaiah 1 verse, what's the verse? Pick it up in verse 24, Isaiah 1:24. Therefore saith Adonai Jehovah of armies, the mighty one of Israel. See, now he's announcing here he's Israel's God. I will ease me of my adversaries, and avenge me of my enemies. That's the recompenses, year of recompenses, which we're in now. And I will turn my hand upon thee, and purely purge away the dross, and take away all thy tin. Remember that, purging away the dross and taking away the tin. It's in Malachi 3. And I will restore thy judges as at the first. What is that? That's Moses and Aaron. They were judges. They were also prophets. And thy counselors as at the beginning. That's the 70. And that will happen again, the 70 counselors. Afterward thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. So where is the getting rid of the dross and the tin? You go to Malachi 3:1, and what do you read? Behold, I will send my Malak, that means messenger. That's the real name of the book, Malachi, Malak. So it's a play on words. And he shall prepare the way before me. This is the Elijah, one of the two witnesses. They're both already here, Apostle John and Elijah. They're in Israel now waiting for the light to go green. Have a little patience. Will prepare the way before me, that's for the return of Yeshua. And Jehovah, I'm sorry, and Adonai, the Lord, Adonai, whom you seek, shall suddenly come to his temple. Even the Malach, now it's switching back to Elijah, the Malach of the covenant, whom you delight in. Well, the Jews all say that Elijah's going to come and teach them the Torah, and he will. He'll probably start with who the Messiah is, Yeshua. Even the messenger of the covenant whom you delight in, behold, he shall come, saith Jehovah of armies. But who may abide the day of his coming? Who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? See, this is a problem for the Satanists that control the big businesses, the government, the rabbis, etc. They think that Israel's going to be made great again and they're going to stay in control, and they're very wrong. But who may abide the day of his coming, and who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire, and like a fuller's soap, and he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. Remember I told you, we just read that in Isaiah 1. Refiner and purifier of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi, the Levites, and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto Jehovah an offering in righteousness. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto Jehovah, as in the days of old, as in the former years. Well, this means that the blessings of the Lord will come on Israel. And I will come near to you to judgment. And I will be, remember, the believers are the temple of the Holy Spirit. This is different. I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, the adulterers, the false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right. Fear not me, and fear not me, saith Jehovah. Fear not me, saith Jehovah of armies. For I am Jehovah, I change not, therefore you sons of Yaakov are not consumed. See, he's saying sons of Yaakov. From the days of your fall. Okay, so that takes us to Jeremiah 30. And let's go through a few verses there. The word that came to Jeremiah from Jehovah, saying, Thus speaketh Adonai, Jehovah Elohim of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken thee into a book. The word is safer. It could mean a scroll, you know. There was no Gutenberg press back then. I would speculate a scroll on parchment and stuff. But anyway, for lo, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah. That means the next great Exodus, saith Jehovah, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers. They shall possess it. And that's a lot of land. And we're not going to be getting the land back until after the day of vengeance, when we're getting into year of redemption. Then we'll get the land back. And these are the words that Jehovah spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith Jehovah, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. So we could forget Zechariah 12 and the man of sin with a 7-year covenant and all the stuff the church babbles about. That's not for Zechariah 12. That's way down the road. Ask, it's a great falling away. They got to get in first before they fall away, no? Ask you now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great. Remember that day, which was in Zechariah 12. We'll be going back to Zechariah 12. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Ezekiel 38 and 39 is not Jacob's trouble, and not saved out of it. Ezekiel 38 says that Israel's living in peace and safety without bars and walls. We could stop right there. Do you think Israel's living like that now? It says that they will come to take a great spoil, cattle, silver, and gold. Israel's busted up economically. Before the war, 28% of the people lived at the poverty line. It's probably 40% now. Jacob's trouble, but he will be saved out of it. I'm going to show you the saving out of it in Zechariah 12. For it shall come to pass in that day, remember that day from Zechariah 12, and that's the day of vengeance, saith Jehovah of armies, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers, think Biden, shall no more serve themselves of him. Remember, I told you he's using Israel like Ukraine as a proxy. Think about it. You think that's not true? It lays out perfectly, doesn't it? Serve themselves of him. But they shall serve Jehovah Elohim and David the king, whom I will raise unto them. It says David shall never lack a man to sit on the throne. There's an anointed prince in Ezekiel 35 in the temple, and that would be your David. He comes from the line of David. It's selected unto man to die only once, and King David died, so he's not coming back. But for the same reason, Moses isn't coming back. He already died. Okay, not coming back as a human to die. Therefore, fear thou not, O my servant Yaakov, saith Jehovah, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For I will save thee from afar, the next great Exodus, and thy seed from the land of their captivity, next great Exodus. And Yaakov shall return, shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. And we'll talk about why they're not going to make him afraid. For I am with thee, saith Jehovah, to save thee, speaking of Israel. Now, what I'm going to tell you is never taught by the church. The first time I found out about this was around 1990-ish. For I am with thee, saith Jehovah, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. He's going to make a full end of all the nations he scattered the Israelites into over the centuries because of how poorly they were treated. They got thrown out of practically every one of these countries. I think everyone threw them out. And I figure this is about 125 countries. And your own Bible is saying this. It's not saying 125, whatever the number is. But they have been scattered to every country in Europe, so you have to really put this in your formula for end times theory. He's not going to kill everybody in these countries. These countries are built up because the leaders are with Satan. and they got phony economies with paper money and computer entry money and all this stuff. And that's why they get destroyed. Now, I don't know what nations he didn't scatter the Israelites into. I don't know. I suspect parts of the Middle East and parts of Africa and maybe parts of Asia. That's my best guess. For thus saith Jehovah, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. Okay, so let me go back to Malachi 3, or I'll make this way too long. So we were in Malachi 3:5, and I will come near you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, against adulterers, against the false swearers, and against them that oppress. Oh, wait a minute. No, I want to go to Zechariah 12:5. Sorry. Zechariah 12:5. And the judges of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, it's twisted, the translation, not severely though. Their strength is in the Lord of hosts, their God. It doesn't say that it's the judge's strength, it's the people in there that are. So there's obviously some sort of revival in Jerusalem, right? In that day, again, that day, will I make the governors, the judges of Judah, like an earth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf. And they shall devour, it's better translated, burn up all the people round about on the right hand and on the left. And Jerusalem shall be inhabited again still in her own place, even in Jerusalem. It means that remains still in its own place. Not they're trying to make you think that they get run out of Jerusalem. That's not the case. So the judges of Judah will be like an earth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf. Well, we know the judges are prophets, because that's how it worked in the Bible. And the two witnesses in Revelation 11 are referred to as prophets. So that's who they are. And who do you know has fire coming out of their mouth but the two witnesses? That's why he said it twice. I know the church doesn't teach you this. Okay. Was that an explosion or something? I think it was something else. It gets better. Zechariah 12:7. Jehovah also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. In that day, shall Jehovah defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David. Feeble is old, tottering, stumbling around, frail people. Will be as David. Well, obviously it doesn't mean they're going to stay frail, does it? Because then they would still be frail and feeble. And David killed Goliath. He was a great warrior, and he killed the bear and the lion, and that's how the old people are going to be. So what happened to them? Well, we'll open that up to you. Just be patient. And he that is feeble among them that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as Elohim, as the angel of the Lord before them. That's Michael, the glory God of Israel, that was with them in the wilderness, Moses and Aaron. He killed 150,000 in one day. So what is this? Church never teaches it. Verse 9, and it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the heathen nations, or all the heathens that come against Jerusalem. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications. Now they're believers. He poured his spirit out on them. I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplication. And they shall look, observe, see upon the one whom they have pierced. Remember when they stuck a spear in the side of Yeshua and blood and water came out? Which some say is the beginning of the church, the water, the Holy Spirit, the blood, the communion. I don't take issue with that. It could be. I don't know. It sounds good. They look upon the one whom they have pierced, and then what do? And they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only, and shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for firstborn. In that day there shall be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadramin in the valley of Megiddo. And the land shall mourn, every family apart. Well, I'll stop here. It just continues to talk about the mourning. And we know that when they killed Yeshua in Jerusalem area, he was probably killed in the Roman fort because he was crucified outside the gates of Jerusalem, and the Roman fort was not considered property of Israel because they had idols and they did abominations in there. So they excised that piece of land out, like America excises a piece of land out for the Chinese embassy or the Brazil embassy. It becomes their sovereign territory when they have their embassy there. Something like that they did. So the land mourned for him when they killed him in Jerusalem. Maybe Miriam, his mother, and Apostle John did, but all the families of Israel were not mourning for him. So this is unfulfilled. So now they've got to go deeper into this. So they get the Spirit poured out on them, so now they're believers. And they look upon Yeshua, who's appearing in the clouds. Now let's develop this. John 6:40. And this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which seeth the Son of Man and believeth on him may have everlasting life. Okay, right then and there. So they are believers because he poured his Spirit out on them. They look upon the one whom they have pierced, and now they have everlasting life. Which doesn't mean that you can't die. That happens in New Jerusalem when you eat of the tree of life and the water of life, because it says in New Jerusalem there's no death. But they live a long time, like before the flood. My people's days shall be like that of a tree. A child shall die 100 years old. That's what this is talking about. And could happen this week. Let's dig deeper. Now, some of you that know all this, and you know I keep repeating it, remember I did this for a long time with Zechariah 12, and now it's taking hold. So I'm hoping when the people realize, as events progress, that the churches were teaching them not correct prophecy, they'll gravitate to the truth. And remember, if we just save one sinner, the angels rejoice up in heaven. I mean, it's a really big thing. And those of you that are supporting the work are partakers in this, and you reap the rewards. Remember the scripture says if you give a prophet a drink of cold water, you'll get because he's a prophet, you'll get a prophet's reward. You're going to get big rewards for supporting the channel. Just wait. You're not going to have a big wait. You're going to get the rewards on this earth when we hit redemption, and also when you go upstairs for eternity. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and when you go up to the third heaven with Jehovah for eternity. Beloved, now, and I think you'll get a nice mansion in New Jerusalem on the way, too. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. So we just read that. And what are they talking about? Well, they're talking about Matthew 24. You see, the church doesn't teach you that there's an appearing and then the return to earth. Okay, Matthew 24:30 sort of isolates it. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, in the heavens, in the Shemaim, where the birds and the airplanes fly, right? And then shall the tribes of the earth, of Israel, of the land, it's the tribes of the land, mourn. Well, we just read that in Zechariah 12. And you see, that's why they're leaving Zechariah 12 out of their teaching. But lately, they've been having to introduce it because I've been hammering it all the time. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Now, the next scripture is Matthew 13, although people don't understand it, the tares and the wheat. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect, that's the wheat, from the four winds. Remember, he scatters Elam in the four winds. It's the whole earth. From one end of heaven to the other. You read that in Matthew 13, the tares and the wheat. He says, let them grow up together, because if you pull the tares up, you might root the wheat up at the same time. So let the angels do it, and they will tie the tares in bundles and put them in the pit, waiting the judgment. And the others you will gather into his barn. And the barn is what? Israel. It's beautiful. And the church is hiding this from you. The church is, it's all in the scriptures. I could read you Matthew 13 now. It'll make more sense to you. Where is the verses? Maybe 21? I don't know. No, it's later. It is... No, it's further. It's in verse 24, it starts. Another parable put forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. That's Yeshua. But while men slept, or it could be Jehovah sowed the good seed, and Yeshua's the seed, the good seed, and when you're in Yeshua, you're in the seed, so it could be that. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat. Tares grow up and look like wheat. It's darnel. And they stand up straight and tall because they don't have any good food grain inside them. But while men slept, now the slept is what? Okay. Remember Yeshua says, do the work now while it's day, because the night cometh and no man can work. Well, that's the 2,000 years of Hosea 6:1 and 2 that's about to close. That's the night. That's when the church says they flourished, by the way, when no man can work. All right, yeah. Okay. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went their way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. But the servants, then they were bringing forth fruit when? When Yeshua was doing his ministry on earth. So we might even push this further by saying after the resurrection, after they were given the Holy Spirit. That would be more accurate. They call it in English, what, Pentecost in Acts 2 when they get the Holy Spirit. Okay. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? I gotta turn down the brightness of this thing. It's getting dark outside and it's glaring in my eyes. Okay. He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while you gather the tares, you root up also the wheat with them, the wheat of the believers. Why? Because they're intermingled. They're married together. They live together. Friends, neighbors. Okay. Children, parents, grandparents. Let both grow together until the harvest. What is the harvest? When you pull the crop into the barn. Israel. The next great Exodus. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, yes?
Heads up, they lost power in Tiberias due to intercepting a missile. I don't know how it will affect our grid, but just a heads up in case, okay?
Thank you. Tiberias got hit with a missile and they lost power down there, but we're some miles away. I still see we got power, so. I'll try to put my foot on the gas here, but I think we'll be okay. I don't think anything will happen. And in the time of the harvest, I will say that's the next great Exodus, which comes after the great day of the Lord. Not that, the day of vengeance, after the appearing of the sign of the Son of Man. After the enemies surrounding Israel are burned up, and then we start getting the land back, then comes the next great harvest. If you want to study that, you can pick it up very well in Ezekiel 20, starting in verse 33, Jeremiah 16, and Jeremiah 23. Gather you together first the tares, so the bad ones get taken out first, contrary to the Schofield rapture theory where the good ones get taken out first. Gather you together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them. Now the burning them is the lake of fire, so they get bound in the pit until the judgment, then they go to the lake of fire. But gather the wheat into my barn. That's the angels doing that. Okay, now let's get it opened up, because he opens that up for them. In verse 36 it says, I gotta darken the screen more. That works. In 36 it says, in the last part of the verse, declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. Okay, so actually the sower of the seed was Yeshua, sorry. The field is the world. So it takes place not just in Israel, but the world per se. The word for that is cosmos, which means the world. So this is all over the place, okay? The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked. The enemy that sowed them is the devil, Satan. The harvest is the end of the world. It does not say world. This is them misleading you. The word in Greek is aion. You would spell it in English transliterated A-I-O-N. It means age. It never means world. The end of the age. And the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall be in the end of this age. The Son of Man will send forth angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity. That word means lawlessness, that don't abide by the law. And shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Okay. Where do we read that? We go to Isaiah 60, verse 1, which is related to Zechariah 12 time period. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. That's, you see how you put this together? This is how you really do Bible, not the way the phony baloney social media and church guys do it. This is how you do it. So what we need to do now is look at what's the sign of the age to come, so we know that I'm talking to you correctly, not just spewing junk out at you like some guy that has a big building and in a denomination. Okay. I have to look a verse up, but I'll do it. Be a few seconds while I look it up. Mark 10:30. Mark 10:30. But he shall receive. Whoa. I gotta go up a couple of verses. Let's go to 29. Mark 10:29. And Yeshua answered and said, Verily I say unto you, there is no man that has left house, or brethren, or sisters, or fathers, or mothers, or wife, or children, or lands, for my sake and the gospel's, but he shall receive 100-fold now in this time, houses, brethren, sisters, mothers, and children, and lands with persecution. And in the age to come, not world to come, age to come, eternal life. So the next age is evidenced by eternal life. So let me give you a quick review, so you'll have this down. And the idea is to share it with others. And I will, Zechariah 12:10, and I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. Okay, and then you jump into John 6:40, and you see the eternal life right there. So this could happen in days. And this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life. Okay, pour the Spirit out on them. They had everlasting. They were believers, and then they looked upon him. But are they the only ones to look upon him? No. No. Revelation 1:7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him. All the eyes are going to see him. And they also which pierced him. See, a direct reference to Zechariah 12:10. But it's not just them. And all kindreds of the earth shall wail, because it's saying all the tribes of the land. It's not earth, it's land. Israel shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. Now, if you're a real believer in Yeshua and you see him, you're going to have everlasting life too, and you're going to come to Israel in the next great Exodus and be an Israelite. Now, where does it indicate this is going to happen? Well, we go to Ezekiel 47. If this thing cooperates, there we go. Ezekiel 47:21. So shall you divide this land. This happens after they see Yeshua. That's the day of vengeance. That's when it all gets bad for the heathen. So shall you divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that you shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you and the stranger that sojourns among you, travels among you, lives among you, which shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel, and they shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. So if you're a true believer, you're going to have this everlasting life, and you're going to come to Israel, and you'll be with the returning children of Israel, the lost tribes and tribes. They will be having everlasting life too, as I understand it. And you will come to Israel, and you will be treated as an Israelite, a member of the tribe you traveled here with forever. And you get an equal share of the land with the Israelites, and you become an Israelite, and thus all Israel shall be saved. It goes on, and it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, there shall you give him his inheritance, saith Adonai Yehovah. And let me explain to you why you will now be able to go into New Jerusalem, because the church never teaches you this. Revelation 21. See, this is the true gospel. It's good news. We'll go into verse 10. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, that would be Mount Zion, where the temple will be, and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone, most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall great and high. Now, I don't know how high is, but it's probably high, right? And had 12 gates. And at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. So, New Jerusalem has 12 gates. Each gate, it also tells us, is made of a giant pearl, and it's guarded by an angel. So you have Naphtali, Asher, Judah, Levi, and so forth, right? So you realize when you come here with your everlasting life, on the next great Exodus, you'd be incorporated into one of the tribes. And now you know which gate you would go into when New Jerusalem comes, which will be further down the road than the Zechariah 12. But there is no Baptist gate, nor Catholic gate, nor Assemblies of God gate, nor Lutheran gate. You understand? All Israel shall be saved. And if Yeshua calls you his brethren, you're in Israel. He's a Jew. All the apostles were Jews. The prophets were Jews. Why did God not have Yeshua born in Germany or Japan or, Brazil or, New York or, He's the high priest in the order of Melchizedek. He's the king of Israel. So now you should know more than the combined heads of every seminary in the world. Sounds pompous to say that, but yet it's also true. All right, let me see what's going on in the chat here. And probably have a lot of haters here by now. Satan doesn't like the truth. Scotland, okay. Northern Ireland, okay. Somebody did a very interesting post, said Proverbs 2:6. For Jehovah, it's not Yahweh, it's Yud-He-Vav-He, it's Jehovah, but okay. But Jehovah himself is giver of wisdom. From his mouth issues knowledge and understanding. And does the Bible tell us how we're supposed to seek that knowledge? Sure it does, or I wouldn't mention it, would I? I'm not that dumb. Let me go. It's in Malachi 2. And now, O you priests, know that's Kohanim, descendants of Aaron, which I told you I'm one of. This commandment is for you. You will not, if you will not hear, and you will not lay to heart to give glory unto my name, saith Jehovah of hosts. I started out with giving glory to Jehovah and Yeshua, did I not? I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feasts, and one shall take you away with it. Well, they've captivity. And you shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that, listen to this, that my covenant might be with Levi, the Levites, saith Jehovah of hosts. Now, did you even know there was such a covenant? Church doesn't teach it. I'm in Malachi 2. My covenant was with him of life, chai, and peace, shalom. And I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. The Torah be'emet, the law of truth, the Torah, be'emet means in truth, of truth, was in his mouth, and lawlessness was not found in his lips. He walked with me in shalom and equity, peace and equity, and did turn many away from lawlessness. For the Kohanim's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law, the Torah, at his mouth. For he is the Malach. Remember that word, Malach? He is the messenger of Jehovah of hosts. Who? The Kohanim. Not the pastors in South Korea and America and Brazil, okay? The law always goes out from Israel. So that was an interesting tidbit I added in, I think. Okay, let's go back into the chat. Jehovah is not his name. It's impossible. There's no J in the Hebrew alphabet. It's Jehovah. You say Jehovah's his name based on what? I say there's no J in the Hebrew alphabet. It can't be, and you just keep babbling on like somebody in junior high school. The construction of the third temple, I could probably cover that in a minute. I have, oh boy, my Bible prophecy ran away a lot of people, huh? They don't like the truth. They don't want to hear real information. They want to see what these people want is they want what they call intel. They want to know what they can do, as if they're empowered to stop what's going to happen, and they can't. That's the unbeliever. The next temple, I can do that. It's easy. You just go to Ezekiel 37, the last 3 verses. You go to my channel, there's many videos with many Bible studies in the live section. And just start listening to Bible studies. Fast forward through the news for that day, and things will come together. Moreover, Ezekiel 37:26 is the verse. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant, because they're going to have everlasting life. And I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary, my temple, But the word for set is the same as place. It's Natan. So let's just say, and will place my temple in the midst of them forevermore. The midst is Jerusalem. So God puts it there, places it there, sets it there. Got it? The next verse, my tabernacle also shall be with them. Jeremiah hid the tabernacle in Mount Nebo along with the altar of incense and the ark. And that's found depicted in the second Maccabees 2. That's the only place you see that, but it makes sense because it's right here. So there's the temple and the tabernacle. Yea, I will be their God, and they shall be my people, and the heathen shall know that I, Jehovah, do sanctify Israel when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore. Well, it reads like possibly the sanctuary which comes down from heaven, this next one. It's not New Jerusalem. It impresses the heathen so much they know that God sanctify means kadosh, made holy Israel. It could be that Israel's already holy. Arise, shine, your light has come, we're emanating forth light, like Moses when he came down from Mount Sinai with the glory of God of Israel with the Ten Commandments. They put a veil over him, it was so bright. We'll all be that way. Okay? It's hard to hit the real gospel. You can go through this and go back and play it over and over again, but these are really exciting, great times, and you should be rejoicing because what's coming is so fantastic. But there's so many people in the world that hate God and just want Satan and they want the evil, that they're bad figs. You can't eat them. You gotta spit them out of the mouth. You can't do anything with them. God can't help them. And that's what you're experiencing, and probably billions of them are going to be gone real soon. So please keep praying for my jaw. It keeps clicking in and out again. Last night I had some terrible stomach cramps, and I was praying and they kept getting a little better, a little better. I took some bicarbonate of soda and that helped, and I laid down. And then I put it up on Telegram, please pray for me, I have stomach cramps. And right after I put it on Telegram, shortly thereafter, I fell asleep for about an hour and a half. And I woke up and I was all gone. Now, I don't know what happened to me during that hour and a half, but I just want to let you know that whoever was praying for me in the multiples, probably it worked. I did get healed. Praise report, in other words. So, I just hope I instilled upon you what's really happening and going to happen, and you should not be sad. You know, I didn't cover the daughter of Babylon in this video. I can't cover everything, you know. So, and those of you that have been supporting the channel, again, I reiterate, you're partakers in this work and you'll get the rewards. You give a prophet a glass of cold water, and because he's a prophet, and you'll get a prophet's reward. So you're going to get a big reward for this, and it'll be at redemption, and it'll probably be in New Jerusalem, and it'll probably be at heaven. And it's working. We're helping the truth get out because the false teachers are now being forced to talk about Zechariah 12, tie it to Psalm 83, separated from Ezekiel 38, 39. And the people, when they read Zechariah 12, they don't teach that it's the two witnesses in Zechariah 12:10, but that'll get out too. So the truth is starting to creep out through the big names in social media, the churchianity teachers with the church doctrines, which are contradictory to the Bible. And they're learning it. That it's going to get out. And I keep doing it because they've got to learn Jeremiah 30:11, that all the nations he scattered the Israelites into get destroyed, or they're not going to understand when that happens. If they're believers, they'll be okay, but they don't understand. And they'll come on the Great Exodus as well, so. Okay, that's what I got. Offering information's in the description box down towards the bottom. My email address is on the last line down. I can try to help with questions. And please pray for me, Moshe, and my wife for peace, safety, protection, and joy. Pray we don't have to go in the bomb shelter. Pray for our finances, our health, and healing. And pray for our animals and pets that they would be happy, healthy, and whole. The bird that had the hole in the trough, she's doing okay now. She's fine. There's no hole, no oozing or anything, but her trough had to be removed by the doctor, by the vet. So we're a little bit concerned about her absorbing a lot of nutrition, but she's got she's got plenty of energy. She's not in danger of dying or anything like that. She's out of the woods. She's pleasant. Beulah, we don't know what's going to be with her. She's still walking around with a cone. We're giving her some non-narcotic pain medicine from having her tooth taken out. She had stitches. And I think one more day or something with the cone and it comes off. I'm thinking maybe Friday we get it. Well, I don't know. See, last night started. Okay, this is Rosh Hashanah, which is a non-biblical holiday. It is not listed in Leviticus 23. It is not a holiday we're told to celebrate. It's not a holiday. It's something the rabbis concocted on their own. They have 4 New Years. The Bible just really has one. And they make holidays up as they go along. And they skewer the calendar, God's calendar. They don't follow it. There's no reason to observe Rosh Hashanah. In Israel, the government sees it as a 2-day holiday, but if my memory serves me correctly, not all the government closes on Rosh Hashanah, or maybe the first day, I don't know. But it's not I don't think they close the second day. I don't. Look, but anyway, it's not going to affect you, so why bother? So it's an inconvenience because, the store's shut and, we got to observe that holiday by force to some extent because everything's closed. And then when the real biblical holidays come, we got to observe those, and then the people don't. So it's not an easy country to live in. It really isn't. And what else could I tell you? I'll keep you posted when it looks like there's going to be an attack on Iran. If we get any hint of it, I'll let you know. I'll let you know if we get any hints of Russia doing anything to Israel. Israel made it clear to Russia that if they mess with us too much, we're going to be arming Ukraine. And we will. I think Biden will have the green stamp, green light it, but he will. And we already started with Iron Domes, and then it'll progress into more and more aggressive weapons. Putin's basically a lot more sane than North Korea or Iran. He's more or less like China. China's not insane like Iran, okay? Or North Korea. But they're not balanced people. They're very twisted and demented, So, okay, so I hope you got something out of that. And if you got lost, just play it again, look at the scriptures, and don't try to make the Bible doctrines and prophecies fit into what the church teaches. Try to take what the church teaches and fit it into the Bible, and you'll see that you can't. Okay? So, pray for better videos. Pray for, oh boy, I almost hit 3 hours. Not quite, but I got up there. 2.5, I guess. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. Oh, please keep praying for my packages. I found out one got returned. They said, but the sender hasn't received it, so I don't even know. And I can't find out because of the holidays. And the other one, I think, is being processed. I think. So today and tomorrow is the holidays. So we might not be able to speak to the vet because Friday will be Rosh Hashanah, and then Friday night Rosh Hashanah would be over, and then we roll into Shabbat. So this doctor might not talk to us until after Shabbat. I don't know. Maybe this one doesn't observe the second day of Rosh Hashanah. I don't know. Rosh Hashanah is not a real holiday. So that's it, kids, and thank you for praying for me. Hit the subscribe button if you would, and the like button. The like button takes you 2 seconds, and if you're subscribed, you'll be able to get me when I come on with emergency live streams. My Telegram has much information, and if you want my Telegram, just send me an email. My email's israelgiving with the number 7@gmail.com. Israelgiving, one word, with the number 7@gmail.com. And it's also in the bottom of the description box and up towards the top of the live chat. And okay, I'm out. Thank you. Get out. Let's see if I can get out.